Here, Michael Cox. Sean is the Director of Academic Affairs and International Programs at Bahcesehir University. Sean, thanks so much for coming in. Donald Trump was extremely triumphant yesterday after this deal was announced. He said millions of lives are going to be saved. No one knows exactly where he's got that figure from, but he's using it, of course, for his re-election process. Do you think the Americans have actually been sidelined here? Because we've been reporting for days that Russian and regime forces are taking over areas where the Americans had been stationed, with all of the flip-flopping that was coming from the White House, that our troops are coming home, they're staying, they're coming home, they're staying.
Effectively, it does look like the United States has been sidelined here. Donald Trump, one of his election goals was to make America great again, to focus on America, and that is to withdraw the United States from endless wars, as he said, from around the world. This is a very prominent example of that. His agreeing to the terms with President Erdogan has appealed to his base. It's galvanized his constituency in the United States, and it makes him look good. But that doesn't necessarily mean it's a good deal for the United States.
So what does that diminishing American influence, especially in Syria, mean for what's happening in the country, which is now in its 9th year of war?
The one thing to keep in mind is that the deal brokered is between Turkey and the United States. This has nothing to do with the Syrian Kurds up in the northeast. So the deal is only as good as long as the United States can get its Kurdish allies to convince its Kurdish allies to do what it wants. It's a temporary truce. It's a temporary solution. It does give Turkey a greater voice in the region, and it will compel some of the bigger countries who are interested, Russia and Iran, to sit down and to try and work something out. But the United States is exiting. They're on the way out.
Yeah, so the YPG and the Kurds, they had gained control of about 30% of Syrian territory over the past few years during the development of the country's war. If they now are supposed to withdraw and have handed back certain control of areas to both the Russians and the regime, Recep Tayyip Erdogan there in the clip we were talking about was talking about the eventual political process that will come as Syria's war ends, which eventually it must surely end. But doesn't that mean, again, that the Americans don't have as much influence over that political process because of their lack of visibility in the country itself?
Absolutely, and we saw that very quickly when Trump agreed to Erdogan's terms, when the Kurds turned almost immediately to the Syrians and to the Russians for support. That's the most likely outcome, is that the United States is going to continue its withdrawal, even against its military advisors' advice. But the Kurds are going to want some sort of great power support, and it looks like it's going to be the Russians now.
Do you think the Kurds are going to do, I say the Kurds, and I really should say the YPG, because when I say the Kurds, I fall into Donald Trump's trap and the administration trying to describe the Kurds as a homogenous group. And of course, we know here in this part of the world that they're not, that there are terrorists amongst them. Will the YPG follow every instruction that they get from the Americans now that this deal has been agreed?
I seriously doubt that they will. I believe that in areas where there currently is fighting, that they will withdraw from that, but the total withdrawal from the area is going to be much more challenging and much more problematic, and it will reflect badly on the United States in the long run.
Sean, always appreciate the analysis, really. Thank you so much. Sean Michael Cox.